Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to Those Were the Days. I am this week's host, Amy, and after a week off, I completely forgot to write any introductions. And so we're going to skip right to the part where I introduce all of my friends who are here with me. And tonight we're going to start with Audie.
Thanks for calling the Cotton Comet. We do the best t-shirt printing south of 3rd Street. That it just means we're south of 3rd Street and we're just the best over here. What can I help you with? Need a bunch of shirts. Okay, how many? Oh, that's a decent amount. Okay, they need to read. Okay, you're definitely gonna have to spell that out for me. Teso Dos Bichos. Okay, Survivor. Yeah, I can handle that. All right, and who's paying for? The director of X-Files? Dude! By Friday, for you guys, no problem. No, thank you. Oh man. Am I gonna have my t-shirt on an episode of X-Files? That would be so awesome.
And we have Steven.
You ever heard of a dead Kafee rodent? It's like the turducken of your nightmares. It's when a canine eats a feline that ate a rodent that ate rat poison. Believe it or not, that might not be the worst idea the writers came up with during the making of this episode.
And Travis.
FBI Expense Department. How can I help you? Oh, Agent Mulder, how you doing? Yeah, no, you need to expense some sunflower seeds, huh? Oh, that's fantastic. Certainly nothing new there. How much again? Wow, really? That is a substantial amount of sunflower seeds. All right. Yeah, sure. I'll get that form over to you right away. Thank you.
All right, so we're here. We're still doing the worst of the best, and I have brought this week what is agreed by everyone who was involved with it as being the worst episode of the X-Files. Now, this is a show we've already done on this show, so I'm not gonna go into the whole it was on and it stars and we've done that. We're there. We all know it. So a lot we talked about this when we started. I don't remember if we talked about it on the show or just in our chat, but when we picked this topic, picking episodes is a little tricky because there is a lot of bad old TV that's bad in a way that is not entertaining for us to talk about.
Right.
And a lot of the worst episodes of the X-Files include a lot of not so culturally sensitive representation. And I'm not going to say that this episode doesn't have that. It has it a bit, but that is not what makes this episode
No.
just I really believed. I said it last week, I think, that because we watched two bad episodes that were still pretty good. One that was like, this is okay, and one that was like, this is pretty good. And this one I feel like is so bad that it loops back around. Because it is bad enough to be fully like Mystery Science Theater able. Like it's pretty intense. Did anybody remember this episode? Does this stick in anybody? Like, did anybody start watching this and go, "Oh, wait a minute, I remember this." Like,
I vaguely remember this episode.
okay.
In so much as like, it's the episode with the cats is where I got to with it. I didn't remember much else about it, but whew, boy.
Now, I'm
it
going to tell
was
you, I
something.
chose this episode because it was the episode with the cats, and then was disappointed at how little the cats figured into this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because we
You
don't
and the
get it's
producers.
really a rat episode. There's way more rats. Okay. So let's talk about this train wreck. Um, we start with it at a dig in Ecuador, and it's like the most stereotypical thing that you've ever seen um in that variety, right? It's like you've got the natives are all out there digging. They have a liaison between them and the white guy that is funding this dig. And they find something and everybody is really, and the liaison goes and gets Dr. Whoever and is like, you should come see this. All right, so we've got a skeleton in a jar. And it turns out that this is an Amaru. She's a female shaman, and this is a sacred artifact, this urn. Um, and so obviously nobody wants to touch it. Like you can't don't take it.
No.
And like we can all see from like a mile away where this is going, right? Like
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
we-
Yeah.
it's like at this point we know what's going to happen. We just have to wait for what form that this nonsense is going to take. And so the doctor is like, no, we're gonna save her. She could be, damaged, because I think we learned that there was going to be construction, and that's how they got the
Mhm.
dig.
Right.
Is like we're
Yeah.
going to dig first, and then they can do the construction. It's like, no, we're going to do that, and so then, so then we get this questionable cultural representation. So first of all, the like woven like pullover is just it's the shorthand for South America
Yeah.
in a painful way.
All they needed was a
Um,
llama, and they would have had the whole
yeah,
way
and then we're
complete.
like, oh, obviously.
Yeah.
So we see like this guy is watching over, right? And so like, okay, all right, fine. So later that night, they're around the campfire, and it's all of the native people that live there, as well as this liaison, and they are passing something around. Now, I joked when watching this episode, I was like, this is not the situation in which one should take ayahuasca. Like, this is not your time, right? Like, you need to be chill and have a thing. This is not the vibe. All right, so we do find out later what this substance is, and it's yahe, and I looked it up, and it is actually ayahuasca. And I was like, I am upset that I was so on the money.
Nice.
I mean,
Um,
but I'm impressed at the same time.
yeah, I was like, okay, but I'm like, this is not the vibe. This is
No.
not now. This is not the vibe. Um, so everyone, including this liaison interpreter guy, they all take this drug, and then everything gets pretty trippy for a while, and we see this like visiony thing, and we see in shadow a big cat attack the white guy in his tent.
Yep.
Credits.
Yeah.
Which is how you do graphic violence in something TV or PG-13 related, right? You do
Yeah.
it through shadow and silhouette.
But if there's ever been like a B movie effect that's ever been B movied, it was this one.
Mhm.
Because it was like
Oh, yeah.
Shadow Cat and then a guy pressing against a canvas tent.
Yeah.
And the canvas tent is bouncing, and I'm like, look, if I'm getting attacked by a cat, that tent's coming down on top of me because I'm
Yeah.
gonna be getting
Right.
out of there. And he's just like banging on it as if it was glass, like a la Independence Day, release me
Yeah.
level, of banging on it. And it's just
Yeah.
it didn't work. I was not convinced this was real. They didn't get me here.
Yeah. So after the credits, we open on the Boston Museum of Natural History, which doesn't exist.
No.
They, we don't have one of those. Harvard does. And all of that was I forget now, but I saw like they showed the opening scene, and I was like, oh wait, I had friends that went there. Like I've been there. So the night security guard is there doing his little patrol, and he finds blood on the floor. Oh no. And so like at this point, as bad as that like jaguar attack was, I was like, no, I'm in. All right. Cursed
Mhm.
artifact. This is your hubris episode, and I'm here for it. Let's go. And the guard gets spooked by the blood, and we see that the Amaru is there on the
Mhm.
plinth. They did bring it back, even though that guy died.
Yeah, like
Sure.
I was about to ask, did I miss something? Because I was working while I was watching this episode. I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I missed the part where the dead guy had shipped it, but no, the
No, but if we
liaison
take
must
into
have taken
account
care of it.
if we take into account that it's like the Harvard Natural History Museum, like it's their money. They're gonna make sure
Right.
they get
Yeah.
their stuff.
Well, and he didn't die; he disappeared.
He
Oh,
Right.
that's
There was no
disappeared
body found.
because
Yeah.
there was no body found. So Mulder and Scully are here to investigate.
That was fast. I gotta say.
I mean, they were in
Like-
the neighborhood.
That's true. We went from 0 to X-Files in like 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you would think there would be
Right.
like a preliminary investigation and then they would call Mulder.
Yeah.
But no, they
Yeah.
were just like, I don't
There
know,
was
somebody
literally not-
disappeared. Call
yeah.
up Spooky.
Mhm.
Yeah, like it was not okay, sure. So Dr. Luton from the museum thinks that he's like the head curator or whatever, and he thinks that this death is politically motivated and it's people protesting that the urn was brought back. And I'm like, the whole time I'm just like, put it back.
Yeah.
Like we could we
Mhm.
could just save
It's
like a
real
lot
simple
of time
Yep.
and put it back. And so Mulder mentions that, like, well, maybe there's a curse on the remains, which if we've called him, we can't, like, that's immediately dismissed. But we've already called the X-Files team. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what? You
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
You can't throw away
They
that
just-
that idea. The X-Files
Maybe it
are
was
here
just it
now.
was a busy week, right? So they
Sure.
needed all hands on deck. They're like, all
There
right,
you
call them
go.
up. We've got all sorts of stuff going on. We need Mulder and Scully out in the field. And it just
Right.
happens to be.
So that the
That's
approach
gonna
we're
be my
taking, we're
headcanon.
gonna make the episode better by talking about all the reasons that
I'm trying.
it's
I'm
worked out.
trying.
We're gonna fix
We're
tonight
only-
on Those Were the Days. We're
Mhm.
fixing this episode of television. You're gonna see it in
We're
a whole
only
new
8
light.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're only 8 minutes into the episode. Though. There's only so much I'm going
Yeah.
to be able to do.
Yeah, no, we
Right.
can't.
No,
we're
we're
not
gonna fix
fixing
it.
this. And
That's the
it's
goal.
just so there is a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode called The Puma Man. And that was all
The-
I could think of the entire time. Yes, the Puma Man. This is
Yes,
the
the Puma Man, thank you.
entire thing I could think of this whole time, which it did not serve it well.
No.
So we meet Dr. Belak, who was the interpreter liaison guy who did ayahuasca with the natives at the dig site in a bad
Mhm.
vibes day. And so since he's like the one who was there, obviously Mulder and Scully go to talk to him. He didn't look great.
Nope.
No.
He believes the curse is real
Mm-hmm.
and that people will continue to be killed until the remains are returned, which sounds an awful lot like a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not
Scully's-
his best move.
Scully's like all bad cop on him immediately.
Immediately.
And the director was all on him to make sure he stretched his words as long as he could so they could fill the time needed for the show
Yeah.
without having to add
Yeah,
more
there was-
shenanigans.
Yeah.
Because he was
Um,
stretching those syllables. He's making
Mhm.
it work. It's creepier when you say words longer
Mhm.
than
Yeah.
you should.
Right.
Mhm.
So back at the museum, Mona, who is a PhD student who you would not let near this thing in a million years, but
Mm-mm.
okay, is there with her little brush, brushing dirt out. And she's working late, and Dr. Luton is kind of like he's real creepy too. Like he's got real predator vibes.
Mhm.
Like I'm like, leave this child alone. She's just trying to clean some dirt off some bones. Leave her alone. So Dr. Luton warns her to be careful where she plants her flag because he knows that she and Dr. What's his name? Dr. Belak are, like they're friendly
Mhm.
because if this is what she's studying, then obviously she knows him because how academia works. So Dr. Luton goes out to his car to leave.
And what kind of car is it?
Oh, was it a
I was just like,
Jaguar?
it was a
Yeah, it was
Jaguar.
Jag.
I totally missed. Oh, I know, I did see that.
No,
The
because
I
hood
was
it
like,
was
you've
like
ornament.
the
got to be
hood
kidding
ornament,
me.
and I was just like, oh, so we're gonna be that on the nose,
Oh
like
yeah, no,
that
it was
on the nose.
very
Okay.
subtle.
It's a
So
Jag.
the car won't start. And we get that kind of weird visiony thing that we got back in Ecuador again.
Mm.
And he pops the hood to see what's going on. And there's blood in the engine. And then he's attacked. His attack, though.
Mhm.
I love the camera work during this scene, though. Like looking through the rust hole of the frame to see him, like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty great. I was
It
into
was real
that.
good.
Yeah, it had some
Mhm.
Sam Raimi vibes. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This whole episode had a little bit of that with the camera work and moving
Mhm.
through the
Mhm.
trees and stuff.
I mean,
It
look,
was a
Kim.
like content aside, it was a well-crafted episode.
Yeah,
Sure.
Kim Manners, who directed this, was doing everything he could.
Just
Right.
the hardest,
Yes.
the most.
Yeah.
I don't always blame. It's not the director's fault all the time. There's a whole lot of components that go into these things, like the script you're handed. You're just like, well,
Mhm.
Right, like
this
there's
is what
two
we're gonna
sides of
do.
it, right? Like you can have a really good story and it can turn out terrible because it was badly directed or shot
Mhm.
or whatever. And this is very much the opposite of that.
Yes, yeah. This is just
Mhm.
here's some trash. Can you make it look good? Oh boy, I'll do everything
Yeah, polishing a turd.
I
I mean, by all accounts, there were apparently dozens of rewrites of this script.
Yeah,
And
as they went.
and when you do that, they're always printed on different colored paper, so
Mhm.
that the cast and
Oh.
crew can know which version of the script you're using. This show got the nickname of Second Salmon because it went through so many rewrites. It got printed on salmon colored pages a second time.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
Outstanding. So that's unfortunate. Like that's not gonna help anything.
No.
Okay. So Mulder and Scully, obviously they're already here, so they are there investigating this disappearance. There's blood, but there's he's gone.
Mhm.
There's no body. There's no body. Found out why the engine wouldn't start. 2 rats had crawled in. They found 2 rat bodies, and there's this scene with in the Boston
Mhm.
Police Department, and Scully's like, "Here, label this." He's like, "As what?" She's like, "Partial rat body."
Duh.
And she was like using a glove but not wearing a glove. It was weird. There were weird choices made in
I've
that.
seen that before in movies and TV. I don't know if that's something people actually do or not, but
No,
they
I think
use the
it's
glove.
probably because you don't want to. I mean, it's a lot to do, and
Mhm.
getting them on and off is both long and loud. You
Right.
know.
Yeah.
So they're walking through the neighboring, like the woods next to the parking area to see what they can see, and something drips on Mulder's face, and it's blood. And they look up, and there is viscera in the trees. And I said, well, of course, that's what jaguars do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jaguars put their food in a tree.
Well,
For
I had
later.
a different thought when I saw that because I was sitting on the couch eating my jambalaya, and I
Sorry.
went, maybe I've picked the wrong time to watch the X-Files.
I did at the end of the last episode, I did warn that this was maybe a gorier episode than most.
You did, and I didn't listen. And then I was like, well,
Okay.
that's probably the worst of it. And I continued eating my jambalaya.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At least I wasn't eating
Little
like
did you know.
spaghetti or something.
In fairness, though, X-Files was one of the gorier shows
Yeah.
that ran on
Yeah.
network television.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we
they
visited this
pushed
last
the
time.
boundaries.
I did not know much about X-Files, and I still don't know much about X-Files. So this was a shock to me.
Yeah.
Fair.
And this one didn't help too much either. So
No.
Mm.
Okay, don't judge it on this
No,
episode.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not. I understand the theme of this month. I'm not like,
Yeah.
oh man, what a crappy show. I'm never watching that again.
Um, so Mona goes to visit Dr. Belak to check on him and to let him know that Lewiston's been killed, and he is not doing well. He is sweaty and rough looking. She's worried, and he won't tell her what's going on. And then she sees the bowl on the table, and she's like, "You've been drinking yahe?" I googled it. Like when she said that, I googled it, and it was like ayahuasca because it's 2024, and apparently we know about these sorts of things now. Okay. So he's just tripping all the time. That's his main thing now.
This definitely had an energy of like the director saying, I need you to just do this scene as if you're confronting your friend who does heroin and you found him and his supplies in his house.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
It was like, who cares about the fanciful stuff? Just pretend you've caught him in the midst of his shame. And you
Yeah, I
want to
mean, he's
call him.
clearly not doing great,
No.
No.
you know?
I wouldn't get that close. Because anybody that's that sweaty and messy, you're like, what are you? Hold on.
You all right?
You
Yeah.
Like, let me go get my
You
mask
good?
Yeah,
real
how-
quick. I'll be right
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
How bad do you think that house smelled?
Ooh.
Not great.
No.
I mean, maybe it
There
did
was-
though. Like maybe it's all like ancho chili and
Oh, yeah.
you
He was in
know.
Ecuador
one
for
or
a
the
while.
other.
He
It's-
learned how to cook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It either smells like Ecuadorian food or it smells like a gym bag. It's
Yeah.
one of the two.
Yeah.
It smells like a
I don't know.
sock.
You mix those two together, and
It's not good.
No.
No. No.
Um so Scully's doing a autopsy sorta on the stuff they found. And his intestines from Dr. Luton. I don't know how you know that.
She
Yeah.
knew that
Okay.
because his last meal, he had corn
Oh,
chowder.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah,
a
that
good
was
last
when I
meal.
looked at my bowl again and went, maybe
Yeah,
I am
sorry.
making a mistake.
Yeah,
The bowl she put his cornmeal in was a lot like the bowl I was eating my jambalaya from.
So she can't really figure out what happened because there are small bites on it that she figures are like rat bites. But it's definitely his. All right, so later in the darkness, I guess it's not later, but it's Mona's at the museum
Right.
and she gets scared, which obviously it's the creepiest museum that has ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It
there's
really
no
is.
lights anywhere
No.
for anything.
Well,
for doing
I was gonna
fine
say-
archaeological
Yeah.
stuff, there's no lights. None.
No, it should look like a dentist office, and it does
Yes.
not.
Well, it's funny. This whole episode was so dark, which I assumed that
was
was
really
part of the
dark.
director's intent to hide what he couldn't do
Their
with it.
shame.
And like I was saying this weekend, I posted out that the line from Bare Naked Ladies 1 week watching X Files with no lights on. I was like, I'm doing it with no lights on so I can see what the frick
What
is
the
happening
TV
in this
is. Yeah, yeah.
episode.
It was
Um,
also like that was also the style of the show because I
Yeah.
noticed that with
Yeah.
X Files and with CSI. CSI was the one that always got me, where they would go to a crime scene and then they would shut all the lights off and go
Cool.
around with a flashlight. Like, cool, so you
Yeah.
can't see anything. That's
Yeah,
smart.
definitely destroying evidence.
Mm-hmm.
So Mona gets scared, so she calls Scully. She's at the museum with her dog Sugar, who's a very good dog.
Yeah, good.
Mm.
Very
Sure,
good
it's a
dog. So Mulder's gonna go get her, which is the most 90s thing that you could ever hope to happen. You're like, just David Duchovny is gonna come save me.
I want
in
Mulder to
Westbrook
come
Museum.
get me. I mean, come
That's what
on.
I'm saying.
Look at the guy.
Mhm.
So she's scared and worried, but that PhD isn't going to finish itself.
Right.
You have got one semester to get this done, so you best be going. And so she's working on the remains, and Sugar gets like scared or something, and so she follows to go see. Sugar is like outside the door and won't go any further, but Mona's like, I'm gonna go see what that weird noise is in the dark museum that I'm already scared in,
Mm-hmm.
Why do we do
where
that?
murders happen.
Don't
Great.
don't go to the
Don't
noise. The FBI
go
is
to the
coming
noise.
to help you.
This
What
is
are
what
you
I'm saying.
doing?
You've already called for help. Wait for the help
Not to
Yeah.
mention the security guard who's supposed to be there doing something. Like, why don't we call
with
him?
like
Make
swinging a
him go see
flashlight
what's
around.
going on.
Yeah. And if your
Clearly,
dog
she was
quits
too
following
busy.
you, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was just
no.
gonna say she was too busy with her PhD to have ever seen a movie.
Yeah.
Incredible fear.
Okay, this was the worst part for me. I hated everything about this part. I hated it so much. So she goes into the bathroom
No.
and all the toilets are rattling. And I can already I already know. And I'm like, please don't. No, please don't. So they're full of rats,
Yeah.
which is awful. It's
Yeah.
awful. It's so bad. I
Yeah.
hated it. I was like, these are
Like
wet rats in a toilet, and I
it's
hate
rats.
it.
It's not the Goonies. It's the rats.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And why? Why? If I go in a bathroom and I hear that much rattling, I'm leaving that
No, I'm
bathroom.
out.
I'm like,
Mhm.
somebody
Yeah.
else can
Because
deal
your
with this.
best case scenario is there is a massive plumbing problem and something's going to explode and you do
Right.
not
Yeah.
want to be there.
I have
Right.
left bathrooms for less. I have
yeah.
Abraham Simpsoned
For
my way
sure.
out of a bathroom for a whole different situation. I'm definitely leaving if I hear noises like that. I'm gone.
Yeah.
Mhm. Especially when it's every freaking toilet. It's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
"Lord,
Out.
nope."
And there's
Gone.
No,
like
thank you.
3
Nope.
light bulbs out over the sink. I'm not going in.
Yeah. What is this? Ah. All right. That was awful. So Scully goes to Dr. Belox and she finds the ayahuasca, which is not great for him in terms of
Mhm.
not being judged as an addict.
Yeah.
At the museum, Mulder runs into the security guard.
Oh, there he is.
There he is. Um, they go to the room that Mona was working in, but she's not there. But her car's outside, so she's got to be here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We cut back to Scully, who found Belak's journals, talking about Yahweh, the vine of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
And she thinks he's trying to invoke the curse. Bro is just tripping.
Mm.
So Mulder finds blood on the floor, which seems to happen a lot at this museum. Goes to the bathroom, finds a lot more blood all over it. And in there, he finds Belak, who says that Mona is dead. Oh no.
What? What? How? How did you
Yeah.
know that?
So he claims he didn't kill her, that he came to warn her. Obviously, nobody buys it because he's just a drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So obviously they think that he killed her. They find the rats in the toilets, but can't explain them. Gross. I can explain it. It's gross.
Yeah.
And they
All the
find poor
explanation you need.
sugar. We find poor sugar.
Mm-hmm.
All
I
right,
was
so
unhappy.
this is
This
my
is
this
why
is
this
the
episode
PSA.
sucks.
So this is the PSA portion of the episode. Do not ever use rat poison. Rat poison
Right.
kills so many wild animals because other things eat the thing that you are trying to poison. So things
Mhm.
like it's deadly to things like foxes and owls and other raptors and anything that eats a rodent, you will kill with that poison. Please don't poison rat. Don't. There are alternatives. That's my PSA for the episode.
The more
hot
you
button issue.
know.
Yeah. So then this part though, between Mulder and Scully, it was little old lady who swallowed a fly. Only
Yeah.
it was so it's like, oh no. So he was killed by rat poison. And they're like, oh, so he ate a rat, which is way more likely than the scenario that they actually outlined.
Mhm.
Because obviously a dog would eat a rat. Like we
Mhm.
have specially bred dogs for eons to specifically kill rats. Obviously the dog would eat a rat.
Sure.
No. This is some Tom and Jerry level nonsense
It's
in
so
which
ridiculous.
Mhm.
Dogs don't eat cats, guys.
No,
Dogs don't
they
eat
don't.
cats.
they barely chase
They
cats,
don't.
like ever.
Yeah,
They don't care
yeah.
about each other
They
at
do
all.
not.
This
That
is
is
Looney
cartoons.
Tunes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
In fact, most dogs are afraid of cats because
Yeah.
cats
As
have
they should be, 'cause
pokepaws.
cats.
Yeah, a cat will tear a
Cats can
dog to
take care of
pieces.
themselves.
Mhm.
That's Sweet Dog Sugar? Are you kidding me? Against a cat, which we then get to see where like the
Oh,
specific variety
what
of cat we are
exactly what-
discussing here.
Oof.
Sweet Sugar does not stand a chance against those cats.
Mm-mm. No.
But no, apparently Sugar ate a cat that ate a rat, and that's how he got poisoned. Okay. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
How many
You've gotten into
rewrites?
the
We're on
ayahuasca,
seconds.
haven't you?
We're on second salmon, and this is still in there.
Yeah.
This is
This is-
second salmon, and we still are in there.
Well, second salmon is when they remembered. Oh, we got to get cats in here somehow, right?
Yeah, we forgot
Which
about
is
the
a while
cats.
because this is not. We'll get into it at the end, based because
Mhm.
I read the description, like I read the brief synopsis before I picked the episode, and I had formulated what I thought this was going to be, and it was not that, and I was like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, it still would have been bad, but it would have fit the synopsis better. Okay. So Belok has disappeared from custody because he's got wily drug powers. At least that's my explanation for it.
Mhm.
Mulder finds blood by an old tunnel opening, so they think that either Belak crawled down there or he was dragged. All right, so we're going in the sewers, gang. We're going in the sewers. We're level 1 RPG characters, and we are
Mhm.
going in the sewers.
We're going in the steam tunnels. They're not even
Yeah.
really. They're steam
No,
tunnels.
but
with
it's,
only.
you know.
This is the only way in.
This is the only way into steam tunnels that, seem very spacious.
Why did we
They're
just go
weird.
in?
They're
If
really-
we're gonna crawl in a hole that's 2 feet in diameter, why didn't we just go in the vent where the body was dragged to? You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
Also, I had not thought about it, but you're right. It is level 1 RPG going into the sewers to find rats.
Yeah.
That's what they were. That was their intention, was to go
Yeah.
take care of the rat problem.
baby's first
Yeah.
D&D game.
Or figure out what the rats were running from. That was Mulder's hypothesis. They were running from something.
Right.
That's true.
A
Yeah.
sinking ship of this episode.
Follow the rats to the end credits as quickly as possible.
So, they find bodies of all the victims so far. This is convenient.
Mm-hmm.
And their eyes have been eaten out
Yep.
of their sockets because that's. I mean, that
Gross.
is a thing, right? Wild animals will, because that's the soft, squishy parts. They do that.
Sure.
Yep.
Fine.
This just reminded me of Hot Fuzz in
Yes.
and it
Yeah.
was terrible to compare that to this movie.
Yeah.
Because I was like, ugh.
So Mulder sees a cat, and this is the first time that this has entered. Like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
So he follows the cat, and then it turns out there's a lot of cats.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's like a lot of cats, like an uncomfortable number of cats.
There's a whole clouder of cats. Do you know that's what
There
a collection
are,
of cats?
but they're all beautiful and so cute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're all like clean and
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't
they're
look
just
feral at all.
Like
No.
90% of it, they're just nice cats. Like,
Well,
oh no.
Yup.
In fact, a little
Mhm.
behind the scenes on it, that's part of why this ending got so jumbled up, because those cats were originally supposed to attack, and the cats didn't,
What?
because they were
No.
well fed and taken care of, so they didn't care, and they couldn't get the cats to attack the way that the script
Listen.
called for.
I trained my cat to sit on command, and she does it really, really well 90% of the time. And the other 10%, she's like, why? Why would I do? I don't want. Why would I do that? Cats are like, so cats are very trainable, but also very stubborn. And the more
Mhm.
you add, that like is exponential, because they're just gonna like care about each other and
Yeah,
not what you're
right.
doing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, apparently, Gillian Anderson is super allergic to
Allergic
cats.
Cats.
So
Good job, guys.
when the cat attacks her, it was a was it described? A cat toy with rabbit fur attached to it that she had to
Mhm.
wrestle with.
Yeah.
I mean, I
'Cause it
could have told you
definitely-
that from looking at it.
yeah.
It definitely does not look at all.
I like the theory that, like,
Convincing.
all right, it'll be a fake cat, but we need to use real fur,
Right.
you know, so it'll look authentic.
Yeah, no. This looked worse than the
Nothing,
Wampa
nothing.
from Empire Strikes Back. Like, and that
Yeah.
was a way better hand puppet than this cat.
So the cats are chasing them, and they run and they scamper up this thing. Well, they find Belak's body in there, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
And they like pull it down and they escape out the tunnel and get away.
Yeah.
So
that
they
was
send this.
Lord.
The
Just
search
the cats
team is sent
clawing at the
down.
doors down
Yeah.
there.
Oh
like,
yeah, there.
going
Here's
after
Johnny
them.
in
It's
the door.
Yeah.
like,
That was
uh-huh.
the best part. That was hands down the best part was that cat.
Yes.
Man, I've been scratched by a cat. Like I've had Gillian Anderson.
Oh, it's not
out about it.
great.
No, it's awful.
Mm-mm.
It stings so bad, and they
Mhm.
got her face. She's not gonna recover
Yeah.
from that. That's terrible.
No.
Lucky you didn't get her
Um,
eyes. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So search team is sent down to find the bodies. There's no evidence of the cats. I'm gonna say cats. That number of cats would leave plenty of evidence that they were there. It would be
Yeah.
pretty evident that there had at one time been a
They're
lot
all
of
like,
cats.
hold it, everybody. We've got to get to some dirt. Then you can go. We're exiting the sewer. Then you can
Sorry,
poo.
I can't believe this is what comes to me. But there are no cats in America.
Yep.
What is that from?
Right.
American
Tale.
American Tale.
American Tale.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I've only ever watched Five Goes West. I never watched the original.
Oh.
Oh, the original is heart wrenching.
I've heard
Mhm.
that.
It
I mean, I know
is.
somewhere out there because everybody does.
Yeah.
but, yeah.
Oh yeah. It's. Oh, phew.
Thanks,
I mean, look, Don
Bluth.
Bluth was one of those.
Don
Yeah,
Bluth.
Don Bluth and Jim Henson, like they just wanted to traumatize us as kids.
Yeah, they just need,
Yeah.
kids need to
If
be
we
heard a
took
little
it
bit. The
happily.
world is hard. This
Yeah.
is to teach you some early
we
life
did.
lessons.
We did take it,
Yeah.
and we grew
But
strong.
we're
because
fine
of it.
now.
Yeah, we
We're
are.
all doing really well.
Mhm.
Because we watched this episode and we're just like, oh.
So Mulder gets a call from the State Department that the urn is being sent back to Ecuador, as 5 people have died because of it. Deaths are attributed to animal attacks and nothing more. We see the urn being reburied, and the shaman-y guy with his jaguar eyes
Mhm.
is watching over the whole thing.
For the audio listeners, Amy just took a good moment to just
I had to
wipe her
have a
eyes.
second. I know it's not great podcasting, but I just needed a
I
moment.
just want the world to know that that's where we're at with this episode.
Yeah.
So the synopsis of the episode talks about like cursed artifact, jaguar spirit, cats attack. And I was like, cool. Okay. Like
Mhm.
I'm picturing, you know, the little old lady living in Cambridge and her 6 cats like go off the rails. You know what I mean? Like they set me up for this like whole jaguar based curse. And it was just a lot of rats. It was so many rats.
I don't understand. Like you have a jaguar spirit,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And we actually get
Supposedly.
a jaguar spirit in
We
the
sure
cold
do.
open.
Yeah.
And then it was like after the credits rolled, they were just like, Jaguar, don't worry about the jaguar spirit. Don't forget about that. It's
Right,
just
like-
going to be house cats
Well,
from
so
here on out.
one of the things that the director did at one point was beg that the jaguar be brought back because there was
Mhm.
no way this ending was going to work. Like I kind of figured, like I kind of thought that like part of that whole ayahuasca ceremony at the dig site was like that shaman was making Dr. Belak like was like imbuing him with the jaguar spirit.
Right.
Like
That's
Yeah.
what I
fine,
thought.
you can
Yeah.
take it and you're gonna bring it back. Like, you know, you're gonna avenge the people that take this. You know what I mean? Like that was my whole thing, and that's why he
Mhm.
kept doing the ayahuasca was because you know he's channeling the jaguar spirit. We are just not gonna talk about it.
Nope, not at all.
No,
We're
it's-
just going to ignore that. He's
Well, then,
just a junkie.
And
Yeah.
then I was like, well, surely we will bring in there's cats and the cats will respond to the jaguar spirit. Fine. That's fine. I'm cool with
Mhm.
that. No. No. Just feral cats in a tunnel. Those
Mhm.
cats don't want to live there. At
No.
all. They want
No,
to
they
live under
don't.
somebody's back porch.
Yeah.
Like
Are we
some
are
old
we
lady that's
supposed to
gonna put out the
believe that
kibble.
those cats were who killed like Dr. Luton
Yeah.
and drug his
Mhm.
body away
Which is
and left?
not a thing.
No,
No.
that like no,
It's not a
no.
thing.
And see, in my mind, I've got this whole backstory of like there's some chemical thing throwing off the cats, and that's why they've gone feral, and it just happens to coincide with this whole Amaru thing. But
Sure.
did we go there? Not even at
No.
all.
No, listen, the four of us right now, before this podcast episode ends, could rewrite this episode of the
Right.
X-Files and it'd be better.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
be
yeah, yeah.
honest
We,
here
we can't make
completely.
it
Like,
worse.
Yeah.
no, we can't. We really can't.
Yeah, we'll try third
Although-
phthalo blue and we'll have it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we do though, we have to get the same actor to play the shaman in Ecuador because his
Absolutely.
name, the actor's name is Gordon Tututsis,
All
Yes.
right.
and I
Nice.
love that
Sir.
name.
Yeah, he's in. And that one dude,
Outstanding.
did you guys notice that one guy looked a lot like Oscar Isaac? Like he could have been Oscar Isaac's dad.
Yeah.
A little
Dr.
bit.
Yeah.
Helock. I was like, holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah, he was totally 90s Dr. Isaac or Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. That was cool. That's about it.
Yeah.
There wasn't
it
a lot
wa-
of like Mulder and Scully stuff. Like there was so little dialogue.
No, Mulder's
Oh.
like, it's cursed.
Yeah.
Well, that it's
Okay.
like they tried to give Mulder a catchphrase like twice. He said, "Go with it, Scully." Like, what? What
What
was
are we
that about?
doing?
Yeah, what are
What
we,
are we
What are we
doing?
doing here?
It was
The
not
only
good.
the only thing in the entirety of this episode that I did like was when she is doing the autopsy stuff and she's picking through the intestines and she's like, yeah, his last meal was some corn chowder. Oh, and he snacked on some sunflower seeds. And Mulder's like, ah, man of taste. Because that was the running gag is that's his favorite snack is sunflower
right.
seeds.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
always jokes about
Mhm.
Mulder eating sunflower seeds. It actually has one of my favorite moments in all of the X-Files, which is an episode with vampires in it, where they talk about how the vampires are obsessive compulsive. And
Sure.
Mulder is about to get attacked by one, so he just chucks his bag of sunflower seeds
That's
at him.
what you do. That's
And they
that's
land all on the floor, and then the vampire's like,
I
ah,
have to count.
now, and
I
he
have
has
to
to
count.
count them all and pick them up.
That's
Like,
the
that's how he
the
survived.
traditional way to protect yourself from vampires is to throw mustard seeds on your doorway, which is one of my favorite things that I learned, right? When I started getting into folklore and I learned that the Count, like Count Von Count, like from Sesame Street, is like that's legit folklore. My man just needs to count. That's what they do. They count things.
Dang.
What?
So one of the
That is
traditional things is
why-
you throw like a
Which-
handful of mustard seeds on your doorstep and they will have to stop to count them and it will keep them there until the sun rises.
Which again, the genius that is Jim Henson,
Is-
because you
yeah.
know
Mhm.
he knew that, and that's why
Oh
he
yeah,
did that.
that's why he's the
So,
That is just that's the most brilliant thing I've ever heard.
yeah, it's really good.
mhm,
Okay, so the title of the episode, Teso Dos Bichos, is
mhm.
translates from like archaic Portuguese, which is funny because it's Ecuador. As burial mound of small animals. Though a lot of
Mhm.
people say that it translates to a lot of other things.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
grain of salt. It's like when you're doing your campaign or whatever and you just put into Google Translate to translate something into Latin, you know,
Yeah.
and you're like, that'll do.
Mhm.
I
All
know a
right.
Portuguese guy. I could probably get him to tell me what it actually is.
Yeah, I mean it's like but it's like archaic Portuguese. But
Oh,
that's
okay.
so weird because like if it was Brazil, I would buy that. But
Mhm.
doesn't
Sure.
Ecuador speak Spanish?
I think so. And if
Mhm.
you put that into Google Translate from Portuguese, it just translates it into English as Teso Dos Bichos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So
really?
it doesn't even in Spanish, it translates to two bugs,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
which is
Wait,
strange.
I mean,
And apparently, bichos is a slang term in I think it was Colombia and Venezuela for testicles.
Oh,
I
okay.
mean,
So
better.
All right.
Um,
We're getting
Either
closer
way.
to the true root And the etymology section of the show will be discussing.
Yeah, this is why you don't use Google Translate to name
No.
your
Yeah,
episodes.
no.
You gotta-
No.
Yeah, so they're like, please make it a big cat at the end. Please, this is not. I'm never going to make these cats
It
scary.
needed to be. It needed to be a big cat at the end, and it not being that. I mean, I 100% back Kim Manners and being like, I can't make these cats
This is
scary
not scary.
at
We
all.
use the term pussycat like
Yeah.
as a term for
Mhm.
something that is not scary at all.
Plus, as Steven mentioned earlier, all these cats look too clean and like
They're
Right.
so
fluffy.
sweet and they're just cute and fluffy.
Mhm.
If they're supposed to be feral cats, they need like matted fur and be, emaciated.
Yeah,
and
like
you
all
need
this
Pet
kind of
Cemetery
stuff.
level.
cemetery.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bits missing off the cats and stuff
Yeah.
like
I
that.
mean,
No, it's like
even if they were the ones doing the attacking, you gotta have some big bad right behind them, commanding them or something.
Right, like
Yeah.
that was supposedly the whole point,
Yeah, like
right?
Willard.
Was that it was
You know,
part of
like
the
Mhm.
Willard had all
Yeah.
those rats. This is Willard with cats. You
Yeah.
know, that's what they could have been Oscar Isaac back there. Like, ha ha! Look at my cat
Yeah.
minions.
and that's the worst part of this, right? Is it's not just that it's a bad episode, because it definitely is a bad episode.
It's bad.
But
Mhm.
but the cold open isn't terrible, and it sets up for something that could be really cool. Like
This is what
this
I'm saying.
jaguar spirit, and then like you said, Amy, with the whole like the shamans imbuing Belok with like this jaguar spirit, and now he's werewolfing and becoming this jaguar
Yeah.
and
Right.
doing these attacks, and he doesn't know it, or he figures it out but he can't stop.
Yeah,
Type
that's
thing.
cooler.
Nope, he's just a junkie doing his
Mhm.
ayahuasca, and like that was completely pointless.
Yeah.
So it's just
Like this whole
It
episode
was
felt like
potential.
this episode felt like his dialogue just stretching out this story, nothing, and then it was cats.
Yeah,
basically,
it
yeah.
didn't matter at all. No bearing on what happened,
How
other
did-
than he's a new
How
dead
did
body.
cats
Mhm.
hurt you? Like what did
Right.
they do?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, I like this criticism of the plot, calling it, quote, a retread of a cursed mummy movie without a mummy.
Yep.
That's pretty
It was
good.
very good.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was not good. I mean, yes, the cat sequence. All right, so then this other one was like, the much derided cat sequence was not that badly handled. And it's true. I mean, they did what they could with
Right.
what they
Mhm.
had.
They pointed the
For
camera out of
sure.
a collection of cats and said, "Oh,
Yeah.
look, there are cats here." And everybody,
There are cats
okay.
here.
And then they cut to a brutal puppet cat.
I'm sure for someone that was very upsetting. Because
Yeah,
there are people that are very afraid of cats.
Sure.
maybe.
But for me, I was like, look at those babies.
But to say that's
Mhm.
well
Yeah,
done
pretty
is
much.
like to say, I took a picture
Oh,
of the
no, it's
ocean
not.
yesterday. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah, I mean, what it
Mhm.
says, they're just they're sitting
Wait,
there on the
Ferris is
floor.
not that badly handled.
Mhm.
Like,
Well-
we're not like let's not
What-
No.
give it that. It's not good though.
It's not good.
Also, I want this to be true, but I don't buy it at all. It is IMDb trivia, but
Yeah,
apparently
let's go.
all the animal noises were provided by one actor, and you can guess who that actor was. It was Frank Welker.
Frank,
Yes.
yeah,
Now he's
that
not
doesn't
credited, and I don't 100% buy it but at the same time, very much could be that they just were like, "Hey Frank, we need you to do some cat noises."
sound- It's probably like $50. I'll make some
Mhm.
sounds into a microphone.
Yep.
was
That's
not.
crazy.
He did
That
a few,
seems-
and they were like, "Okay, we're good." He's like, "I can do better." It's like, "Now we're good."
yeah.
Yeah.
Directors like
It's
trust.
fine.
We don't need
Mhm.
anything more than that.
So if you ask David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson what the worst episode of the X-Files is, they will say this episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I mean,
So
there are
we'll,
lower rated ones, but like I said, a lot of that is just like, oh, we've chosen a very cultural monster of the week, and we have
Mhm.
not handled it in a comfortable way.
Yeah. That's modern. That's looking at it, out of the
Yeah.
when you're in it, you don't know how messed up you are. When you get out of it, you're like, oh man,
Yeah.
look at that.
We did almost watch one called First Person Shooter,
Oh, yeah.
which sends Mulder and Scully into a virtual reality game in the
Oh my
90s.
gosh.
Yeah, that was the runner-up choice.
Yes.
That one is also terrible. I haven't watched it in a hot second.
However, that episode didn't have a director make T-shirts for
No,
the
make
cast and
T-shirts.
crew.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. They don't say that that's the worst. If you ask them what the worst episode is, that's not the answer they're giving. It's this one.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
It was terrible.
It
But
had
I-
potential and then
I like
failed
that.
at every turn.
Yeah, I like that Kim Manners made T-shirts of
Mhm.
Teso Dos Bichos Survivor for
Mhm.
everyone and gave them to them. That's fantastic.
It's so good. I want to do something so terrible that we have to make commemorative T-shirts.
Mhm. Well, Dragon Con is coming up, and we're going to do a live episode. We'll see how that goes.
Oh yeah.
I survived. Those were the days live.
Yeah. By the way, I
Oh,
don't know if we've
boy.
done an episode since we did get added to the schedule. So we're on the
No, I
schedule
don't know if we did.
for Dragon Con to do Those Were the Days
Yeah.
live. So if you're going to be in
Yeah.
Atlanta, swing on by. Schedule pending, but it should be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Kurt is joining us, so that'll be great.
That's very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we got any feedback anywhere. Does anybody know if we got any feedback anywhere?
Mm.
Because let me tell you, we skip a week and I completely forget how to do this show. I remember nothing. The intro music started and I went, "Oh no!"
Freezing there with
You can-
your head.
You
Oh,
can blame me
no.
for being in Las Vegas. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I didn't write an in. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't have remembered to write an intro
That's
last
fine.
week either.
Look,
All
we're
right,
good.
fair enough.
We're all good.
Where I
No, we
am
did
as a
not get
person.
any email other than one of you apparently tried to log into the account and couldn't or something because we did get a security
Perfect.
alert. But
Yeah,
other
that
than
was
that, no, we're fine.
I saw that. Hey, text this number. I was like, oh, well,
No.
not that dedicated.
I saw
Figure it
0
out.
minutes and I was like, that was right now. That's probably out of Europe, Travis.
So you can email us at thosewerethedayshow@gmail.com. You can
Yep.
find us on the former Twitter at Those Days Show. You can find all of us on various social medias. That information is in the show notes, which is handy. Okay, so we have one more. We have one more week of bad show.
We do.
Mhm.
And that's exciting. So Trav, we're throwing it over to you, buddy. How are you winding up this worst of the best?
So I spent a good amount of time trying to figure out what to do for this, right? Because as we've found, even the bad episodes of good TV shows tend to be fairly good. This
Mhm.
week excluded.
You're all welcome.
Mhm.
I
then
followed
I-
the assignment.
You did.
You did.
Yeah, you did.
And I got looking around and I found so a little show you might have heard of called Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Nice.
Oh, wow.
had an episode in season 4, episode 5, called Beer Bad. The synopsis of this one is Xander finds employment as a bartender at a pub where some of Buffy's friends turn into terrifying Cro-Magnon creatures.
Well, that sounds
So this feels like
awesome.
something straight out of
Wow.
the Dare playbook.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, we're gonna make an anti-drinking episode where the beer turns them into cavemen. So yeah, strap in, folks. It's gonna be an interesting ride.
Oh, I'm excited.
Oh, this is good.
I've never-
We're also gonna put up a survey, right? For
Oh
the
yeah,
next
we got new
topic,
topics.
Yeah.
New
which we
topics
have
coming
not.
in.
Which we
Mhm.
have not. We've neglected to do for
You-
quite some time.
You will have a link in the show notes if you
Yeah.
download this show, or in the YouTube links. It'll be there too, or in the Discord. I'll put it everywhere.
Yeah.
But we're gonna
There
do
you
the thing. Yep.
So you'll be able to vote for your choice of our next topic to follow up. So a little palate cleanser
Yeah.
after this
Mhm.
whole thing that we've just done. It's weird to do this particular thing because we've already done this show. We're not going to talk about this. We all categorically agree that it was bad.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yes.
We've already decided a half dozen different ways that we could make it not as bad. And so that makes ending the show really weird. So I think that's the end of the show, though, right?
Yeah. We
Next
do.
week,
Yeah.
We should.
ahead.
We haven't done this before, but we got a patron because of this show. So I was
Yes.
gonna. So I want to just thank all of our patrons
it.
who help keep the Two Dorks
Yes.
Orbiting HQ running. That's Bo, Jesse, Audie, Amber Dwarf,
Yeah.
Adam of Geekheim, my mom, and Og for keeping this thing on the rails. We certainly
Yeah.
appreciate all your
Yes.
donations.
Thanks, gang. We do.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So
We always
until
joke
next
we
week.
don't. We could dock Audie's pay, and he's the one paying
Yeah.
us. So
Yeah, we'll
wild.
just
Right.
yeah. So until next week, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, for Steven, for Audie, for Travis, I am Amy, and this is Those Were the Days.